my friend, we move on to the championships. Wisconsin and Nebraska will face off in women's, then men's as the nightcap. And first, we get to take a look at one of the best teams in the tournament, Concordia, Nebraska. This women's team, 19-2. We saw that blizzard full court press yesterday, forcing 42 turnovers in a win. And now we'll see if Concordia, Wisconsin's up to the task.
Yeah, the number 3 ranked team in NAIA D2 is going to be bringing a lot of firepower today. As you mentioned, they are very aggressive, forcing 42 turnovers against the Cardinals yesterday. But competitively, think about this. In their first game of the year, they played Creighton, D1 school, took them to double overtime and lost by 3. So this team is not afraid of any competition, and they're going for their 7th straight CIT title today.
Pretty much the only schools in the state of Nebraska that CUNE loses recruits to are Nebraska and Creighton, those D1 powerhouses. Drew Olson in his 14th season, he's really built a powerhouse, and tonight they're going for their 30th CIT title. They've dominated this tournament for decades.
And exactly that, because they have great players, and you're going to see a great player tonight in the reigning 2019 CIT MVP, Philly Lammers, who finished the game yesterday with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals. She's going to be a ball hawk today, and she's going to be leading the Bulldogs charge today in transfer championship.
So we can rave a lot about the Bulldogs, but Stacy Brunner-Jones, the head coach for CUW, you know, she knows that they've got a challenge on their hands, but she's got a mighty fine ball club herself. They've won 7 in a row.
And they have, and they came off a great fight last night over Concordia, Chicago, winning 48-46. And that was a game we didn't see them perform as good offensively as we have in past conference games. But people like Cameron Shaliga, 14 points and 7 rebounds. She's going to be huge in this game if they're going to have to try and hold on to a defense as well from the Bulldogs that will press you full court and put you in uncomfortable situations.
Yesterday, Wisconsin shot 22% from the field and won. How is that possible?
Quality shots and also, too, the free throws. They had so many free throws, and that gave them the opportunities late. And we mentioned yesterday, it's something that separates the good teams from the great team. Emily Hafman went 5 of 10 yesterday, was one of the best shooters on the team, and it's going to take that kind of effort again, because if you might not get the opportunities against a great scrimmage in the Bulldogs, but the free throw line is somewhere that the Falcons can excel tonight.
And is it possible that maybe we'll see them get more free throw opportunities because how aggressive Nebraska is defensively?
They're very aggressive. They're going to go for traps. They're going to go for steals all the time just because of their nature of running a full court press. And it's something we've never seen before, and it's going to be something that not a lot of college teams do either. It's going to be exciting to see if they can keep that same energy in a game after they had a long game yesterday against Ann Arbor.
It's time to play for championships, so let's set the scene. Nebraska, we already mentioned how much they've dominated the CIT. 29 times CIT champions. 10 of those titles coming in Drew Olson's 14 seasons. And Nebraska, the Bulldogs, they've won 6 CITs in a row, including 28 of the last 33. Folks, wrap your heads around that. 28 of the last 33 CITs Nebraska has won. That, of course, includes last year, where, as Carter mentioned, Philly Lammers won MVP, dropped 23 points, 14 boards in a title game win over Ann Arbor as they won their 6th consecutive CIT. On the flip side, you've got Concordia, Wisconsin. Looking to stage the upset. These guys, they've never won the CIT. Last year they lost to Nebraska 102-74 in the first round, and Stacy Brunner-Jones, in her 16th season, is looking for her first CIT championship. So Carter, I mean, what a matchup of kind of polar opposites in terms of CIT history.
It's CIT history because there's differences in the playing style too, but you're definitely going to feel the underdog mentality from the Falcons tonight as they're trying to big home a big one for the Falcons.
Give me a key matchup.
I'm thinking Philly Lammers as of right now is just going to be a great off the top of the ball, obviously, for the Bulldogs. I think there's going to be a good matchup between her and possibly Cameron Shaliga, maybe Clara Chambers, the senior guard, who's been very valuable, and she's been averaging 13 points a game, but she's also pretty good on the defensive side. So it's going to be very interesting to see the mixes and matches between two very different style of offenses.
These are two hot teams. Wisconsin has won 7 in a row. Nebraska, they've taken 5 straight. And the Bulldogs, 19-2, ranked number 3 in all of NAIA Division II. The 29-time CIT champion Bulldogs look to win number 30. And we'll have the action for you in a few minutes right here on the Cougar Sports Network. Starting lineups, tip-off right on the other side.
Following prayer, please remain standing for our national anthem, which will be played this evening by the Concordia, Nebraska Tech Band. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this joyous great basketball. Lord, I ask that everybody that is injured in these sports teams, that you just heal them. Also, anybody that would just get next to team safe, Lord. Lord, I just want everybody to remember that without you, nothing is possible. In Jesus' name, amen.
From Geisman Gym here in River Forest, Illinois, I'm Sam Brief. My partner here is Carter Geisman. So happy to bring you the action all weekend long. This is our it's our 7th game of the weekend. We've been rolling. The first 2, the consolation games, we'll give you a quick recap. First was the women's consolation matchup. Ann Arbor against Chicago. Dominant post play from Tristan Williams, and the Cardinals gave Ann Arbor a 76-63 win in the day's opener. And then in the men's consolation, things got a little weird at the end. A late timeout from Steve Kohler gave the Cougars, the Chicago Cougars, an extra opportunity, and Landon Gladney's potentially game-winning buzzer-beating layup just missed the clock. He couldn't quite beat the buzzer, and the Cardinals held on for a 67-66 win in a nail-biter. Now the championship between the Concordia, Wisconsin Falcons and the Concordia, Nebraska Bulldogs. Starting lineups being introduced. We'll have those for you in a second. Yesterday, the Concordia, Nebraska defense forced 42 Ann Arbor turnovers. What is the game plan, my friend? I'm not saying you know the game plan. What should be the game plan for any offense going up against this team?
We got to just keep moving the ball fast, because one thing that we saw yesterday in the Cardinals, is that they weren't ready for the press. And when they weren't ready, they stopped moving the ball, they stood still, and that's what happens when you get the defense to trap on you in the corners and the sidelines. So now the Falcons know what they're going to expect today. Look for them to be quick in moving the ball and get it over the half-court line, because then they can set up their offense and do what they did best against Concordia.
So here are the starting lineups. Let's start with the Falcons. Concordia, Wisconsin Falcons, members of the NAC. They've won 7 in a row, led by Stacy Brunner-Jones, their 16th year head coach. Caitlin Foster, Hannah Betcher, Cameron Shaliga, Clara Chambers, and Emily Hafman. That's the starting 5 for the Falcons, who are the designated road team in this game, wearing the royal blue uniforms. And they stand opposite the Bulldogs of Concordia, Nebraska. 19-2, the 29-time CIT champions are led by Drew Olson, the head coach in his 14th season. And they'll send out Riley Sabell, Mackenzie Kepke, Colby Duvall, Philly Lammers, who was the CIT MVP a year ago, and then Grace Berry, Lincoln, Nebraska native, who led the team with 20 points, 7 assists, and 6 steals in Game 1 yesterday against Ann Arbor. We are ready to go. Nebraska and Wisconsin. The women's CIT championship game is underway, and it's the Bulldogs who will start with the ball. Nebraska has won 6 CITs in a row. Can they make it 7? Capitalize on some of the momentum they built up yesterday. Going for Lammers, a quick early steal for Wisconsin, and here's that full court pressure that forced 42 turnovers yesterday.
And that was something Shaliga was kind of shocked to see there, but he's got an open look here.
Foster misses the 3. Forward to Nebraska. Nebraska out of the NAIA in the GPAC, the Great Plains Athletic Conference, as Lammers, their bell cow, puts it in off the glass.
And she's going to be doing great things tonight. You already see aggressive in the post, and she got her second chance rebound there. Can't let that happen if you're the Falcons.
So this full court defense, of course we've raved about how good it was yesterday when we actually saw it in the flesh, but it's been like this all season. They lead all of NAIA Division II, the Bulldogs, in steals, 22 per game. First in the country as far as their division's concerned. A turnover margin of plus 16, and they nearly came up with one there, but it went out of bounds off of Riley Sabell.
You've already seen some of the Falcons dribbling to the sidelines and into the corners. That's one thing you don't want to do against an aggressive team like the Bulldogs, because then they can set up their trap, and that's where the turnovers, like we saw yesterday in Ann Arbor, that's where it's going to happen.
Betcher will inbound for the Falcons. She gets it into Caitlin Foster, Janesville, Wisconsin native. 11 of the 13 players you'll see tonight for Wisconsin are from Wisconsin. They're cheeseheads. Whistle blows, and an off-the-ball foul on Nebraska. Goes up against Kobe Duvall. Speaking of statehood, Nebraska, 14 of the 16 players are from Nebraska. A lot of hometown pride on both of these teams. Here's a corner 3 from Chambers. Too short. Pushing the tempo. Here's Lammers. Philly to the hoop. 4-0 Bulldogs.
And you see how fast they even push on the offensive side too. Took one outlet pass and Lammers was gone.
Foster at the top of the circle, knifing into the lane. She's met with contact from Lammers, and she'll have 2 chances from the free throw line. So whereas Nebraska played a high-flying game yesterday, Wisconsin played a slugfest, a 48-46 win over Concordia. That saw the Falcons shoot just 22% from the field, yet somehow come away with a win. Some late free throws from Emily Hafman, and Cameron Shaliga iced it. And those were their 2 best performers really all night.
And like you said, the free throw line can really just be the extra add-in that something, if your offense isn't working, it'll be that thing that can just separate you and keep you in a game.
Long 3. Nothing for Kepke. will go the other way. Mackenzie Koepke out of Lincoln not only had her high school record for career threes made, as may be evidenced by her confidence there, but also high school record for the high jump. 5 feet 5 inches she jumped. She was a state champion in track and field. Long outlet. Duval puts it in. Olsen barking out orders. We might have a 10-second violation, but first a steal. Barry. 3 no good from Sibel. Fast and furious. Here's another steal. Sibel overhead pass to Barry. Igniting the offense. Grace kicks it out. Sibel with a sharp pass over to Koepke. Lammers. No good, and Haithman gets the board. Long outlet pass. Hannah Betcher. Chambers. The tray. Too short. Scrum for the ball, and Lammers comes up with it. Neither team looks too sharp offensively right now.
No, just a lot of contested shots, but it's all transition right now for the Bulldogs.
Lammers is fouled. So far, 3 CUW turnovers as we get sort of a hockey line change.
You're going to see that a lot, though, tonight from Coach Olsen and the Bulldogs because of the fact they're pressing all the time. You can't just rely on a couple substitutions. You got to give everybody as much rest as possible, especially in a championship game.
So 4 subs come in all at once. And when Lammers is done, she'll come out of the game, and it'll be a full line change. 5 in, 5 out. Delani Fay, Claire Cornell, Taryn Schutte, and Mackenzie Hellman for the new Bulldogs in the game. And here's a quick steal from Cornell. She can't convert. Ball goes into the band. And the teams will go the other way as the 5th and final sub, Riley Pauly, checks in for Lammers. Messy early start. That blizzard full court press looking mighty fine for Nebraska. Timeout called by Wisconsin. Right before the 10-second violation would have kicked in. That was 9 seconds in. You have 10 to get it across the half-court line.
And you saw the Cardinals yesterday had 3, and that was something that you usually don't see. But it's just the surprising pressure from the Bulldogs, and that's what makes them so good.
Drew Olsen in his 14th season at the helm of this Concordia, Nebraska program. The all-time winningest coach for the Bulldogs. Last season, they were national champions. In the NAIA, they went all the way, a 35-3 record, D2 champs. 3 championship game appearances under Coach Olsen, 10 conference titles. The Omaha native has really etched his name in the record books as one of the greats in the state of Nebraska. At the scorer's table, a little bit of confusion here. Fresh basketball. It'll be Wisconsin ball with 21 on the shot clock, down by 5. And Drew Olsen also comes from a coaching family. His dad, Rich, was a high school basketball coach in Nebraska. And his brother, Jared, head coach at Cal Baptist at the D1 level. So coaching basketball in the Olsen family blood. They get it over quick, and it went out of bounds right off of Schutte. Nifty little move there for Wisconsin to keep the possession alive.
And that's all in just trying to just avoid as much pressure as possible for the Bulldogs. So you can see just Coach Bruner Jones just talking to the coaches and like trying to figure out a game plan too.
Oh, and now the 10-second violation called. One of the officials had other ideas, decided maybe they didn't get the ball over quite in time. They had 1 second, just kind of heaving it across the line to try and avoid that 10-second violation, but it's a 5th Wisconsin turnover. Fewer than 5 minutes in. Now the Bulldogs going to work. Delaney Fay lost it in the corner. It's Wisconsin ball with 2 fresh faces, Clara Chambers and Lindsay Schmitzdorf coming in. Cougar fans might remember Schmitzdorf's name. She scored 14 points, which was a career high a couple weeks ago against CUC. Wearing number 40 in blue, she was the intended recipient of that pass, but way over her head. And another Wisconsin turnover. Mackenzie Hellman gets a screen, pulls the trigger, a bit too strong. Rebound tipped around, and Wisconsin comes up with it. It's Clara Chambers lobbing it into the front court. It's Kratt who loses it. Now Cameron gets it right back, but she's whistled for a reach. Seems like the Falcons just can't catch a break. I mean, there's so little margin for error.
And there isn't against such a great team and powerful team like the Bulldogs. That's that's coached by a disciplined coach and Coach Osen. It's going to be a really tight game, and they're going to have to do all the little things right if they want to have the big victory.
The Falcons have yet to make a field goal. This 3 is off from Fay, but more chances for Nebraska. It's Hellman making the bunny, 9-2. So Wisconsin's got 2 points. Those were a pair of free throws early in the ball game from Caitlin Foster. They're 0 for 4 from the field. Might this be the magic possession where they crack the Nebraska code? Let's see. They've got it across half court, and that's quite literally half the battle. More free throws coming up, and this time it's Cameron Kratt. Yeah, Carter, what do you think is more difficult against this Nebraska team? Getting it over half court or scoring once you're in your more comfortable half court set?
It's hard to say because you said it perfectly. Getting over the first battle and just getting over half court is one thing that's been difficult already for both the Cardinals in the last game and the Falcons in this game. But it looks, too, that the Falcons haven't really been able to settle into that kind of offensive groove because they're still feeling the pressure from the Bulldogs.
Down low going to work. And now outside, a 3 missed by Asleason. And she gets the and one. Elsie Asleason followed her miss. And now she might end up with 3 anyway.
Hey, you see Pauly get the nice rebound there, and then what does Elyson do? She goes, crashes the board, still puts her hand up, and she gets the cut. But great vision there by Pauly to see her cutting.
Sub here, Foster out, Betcher in for the Falcons. What's interesting about this Nebraska team, and there are, of course, a lot of interesting things about this Nebraska team, they play this fast pace. Well, what kind of athlete do you need if you're going to play at that pace? Track stars. More than half of their team played track in high school. Track, cross country, you've got a bunch of players who were all state in track, set all sorts of school records, and Asleason, who just committed the travel, she's one of them. She played basketball, volleyball, and competed in track and field. A 12-3 early lead. Nebraska 41% from the field, Wisconsin 0. It's tough to get it across half court. They just did, and they get the layup. Lindsay Schmitzdorf rolling it in. The first field goal comes under the 4-minute mark. Schutte. Betcher's all by herself, picked up her dribble, fired a nice pass to Shaliga. that we haven't seen much of today, but dominated yesterday against Chicago.
Something you mentioned too about the struggles shooting too. It's not just for the Falcons right now. The Bulldogs are 0 for 6 from behind the three-point line, so they're also having some struggles too, trying to find their stroke and get in rhythm.
Line change. See the Concordia, Nebraska band trying to start the wave. They're dressed up in Hawaiian theme today, and the Wisconsin student section isn't really feeling the wave. Are you pro-wave or anti-wave?
I love the wave.
Yeah, I mean, there's the travel. How could you not like the wave? I mean, looks like the Wisconsin student section doesn't like it very much. I'm all in on the wave. I'd love for it to make its way around here. I'll participate.
It's great in a ballpark for a baseball park.
It's great to have all the bands here this weekend for the CIT. Bands, full cheer squads, of course, all the student sections. Another steal for Nebraska. 3, good. Colby Duval with the first 3 of the day for the Bulldogs.
She didn't hit any in her first game yesterday in Ann Arbor, but that's a huge icebreaker for the Bulldogs to get it going from behind the arc.
Reagan Obrey gives it up. Betcher lobbing down low. Smitsdorf rejected by the rim. Here's Lambers on a free run. Dumps it off. Sabel, cross-court pass, whistle to Barry. Corner, Trey, Kepke, got it.
Just keeps shooting in the left corner over there. 2 for 2 in that spot.
That's the hot corner and a 13-point lead for Nebraska. Foul on Lammers. Couple subs here bring Aubrey Buchholz and Emily Hafman into the game. Same with Cameron Kratt. For Nebraska, Claire Cornell. An Elm Creek, Nebraska native comes in. She's another track star. Nebraska long jump champion. Set the state record back in 2017. So the athleticism really starts with the recruiting. Drew Olson's done a tremendous job as Wisconsin commits its 10th turnover of the evening.
When you get in recruiting, sometimes dual sport athletes, that's why you see so many college coaches looking for them because of their athletic ability, and just like you see the fast-paced track definitely correlates to the basketball court.
Quick 30-second timeout here. Cougar fans, Falcon fans, Bulldog fans, Cardinal fans, and anyone fans, we'd like to remind you that Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Concordia University Chicago Athletics. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Chick-fil-A in Melrose Park has you covered. Chick-fil-A, eat more chicken. Sam Brief and Carter Gledhill here alongside our spectacular crew, headed by CJ Selner, Shelby Spitz, Julia Beers, Ryan McGee, Grace Miller, Julia Spitelli, and Kelly Guti, just some of the fine folks here in River Forest, making the magic happen on the airwaves all weekend long. We had 4 games yesterday, 4 more today. And right now we're in the first championship game with the men's title game to follow. Top of the key, 3 from Kepke off. And a foul. So early on, it's been all Nebraska, Carter.
It has been, and you see the swing of things that just happened. 14-3 run in the last 6 minutes. 6-0 run in the last 2 minutes, 15 seconds. So it's been a really fast pace. They started to pick up, and, you know, once they get their momentum, it's going to be really hard to stop that going.
Wisconsin scored the majority of their points at the free throw line. 4 of the 6 coming from the stripe, now 5 of the 7. The only field goal, and they're 1 for 6, was a point-blank layup from Lindsay Smitsdorf a couple minutes ago. Here's Sibel at the top of the circle, handing off to Koepke. McKenzie right back to Riley. At the right wing, she's got 10 seconds to work, loses the ball. It's a jump ball, and possession's going the other way. The Falcons take control here.
It seems, too, that the Bulldogs are also trying to go too fast. It's almost their 6th turnover already in a game where we saw them not even turn the ball over that much in the other game against Ann Arbor.
And it almost doesn't matter, though, right? Because if you get so many turnovers, you know, if you force 50 and commit 30, you're still plus 20, right?
That's still a good amount, but it might not be something Coach Olson likes to see.
It might be a little sloppy, but it gets the job done. Front end, no good. Yesterday, a 74-49 win against Ann Arbor. 22 steals, that's what Nebraska got. That's right around their season average. And they only turned the ball over 17 times. Right now they're on pace for a bit more. They've committed 6 turnovers. Koepke bowling into the paint, and she'll have 2 free throws. Mackenzie Koepke, a 6'1" sophomore out of Lincoln. Concordia, Nebraska, not too far from Koepke's hometown of Lincoln, which is the state capital. Seward, Nebraska, that's where Concordia is. It's about 45 minutes away from Lincoln. CUNE, founded back in 1894, enrollment of 2,300, making it the second biggest of these 4 Concordia schools, after their opponent, Concordia, Wisconsin, which is by far the biggest. 7,400, the undergraduate enrollment. Nearly 4 times the size. Koepke swings to Sibel in the corner. Right back to McKenzie. Going to work at the right wing. She swings to Duval. Bounces to Sibel. 2-second differential between shot and game clock. Drew Olson barking out orders, the 14th year head coach, telling his girls what to do. Offensive foul. Duval whistled for an illegal screen. Turn that shot clock off. So Wisconsin has 8 seconds to get the ball across half court and get the ball in the hoop. Sometimes an insurmountable task against Nebraska. And what an athletic play from Claire Cornell.
But you've seen the Falcons have been trying to get that little lob pass right when they get over so many times, but players like Cornell are just sitting there, and that's something that the Bulldogs already know they're going to try to do.
2 seconds to work under the hoop. Nothing. That's not off in time, and after 1, 20-8. Pure domination for Nebraska, who forced 12 first quarter turnovers and lead by 12. We'll take a quick pause here. Quarter number 2 on the other side from Geisman. This is the CIT on the Cougar Sports Network.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Back at it from Geisman. And the CIT is brought to you in part by Lutheran Public Radio. Listen to sacred music anytime, anywhere at LutheranPublicRadio.org or on the LPR app. Sam Brief and Carter Glenhill with you. Thanks so much for joining us all weekend long. And Carter, So far, more of the same. This Nebraska full court press, it's just too darn good, man.
It's too good for sure. I mean, Nebraska's been dominating in the paint too. 10 points in the paint. Falcons have none, so it's really going to be a continuous battle of we've seen just absolute monster of the Bulldogs against the underdog Falcons.
5 points for Kepke, Duval, and Lammers. It's such a balanced Nebraska team. They've got 11 players who average 10 minutes or more, because the way Drew Olson does it is these line changes. He'll make 4 or 5 subs at a time. So pretty much 11 players get significant playing time, and 5 of them average 8+ points. So for a team that scores nearly 95 points a game, only 2, Grace Berry and Philly Lammers, average double figures. I mean, it really kind of boggles your mind when you're used to traditional basketball teams.
But when you also look too, they also come with 20 assists a game, and that's something that's a pretty high number. So with that, you're going to get a lot of team share and passing it around and sharing the wealth.
There's a lot of high numbers associated with this Nebraska team. It's not a traditional ball club.
Oh, not
any
by
stretch of the imagination. This 3 way off from Chambers. Nebraska steamrolling the other way now. Hellman gives it up to Higgins. Rebecca, the step back, a bit off. It'll go to the Falcons. Still just 1 field goal tonight for Wisconsin. They get it across, and they've got numbers. It's going the other way. Clara Chambers was a little messy down low, and Cameron Shaligo couldn't corral it in the corner.
You see there, right as they were trying to get a ball pass right across the court, there were 2 defenders for the Bulldogs flying up trying to steal it, and the Falcons failed to capitalize on a chance to take another layup, which they desperately need.
Here's Hellman near the free throw line. Spin move, do-si-dos to the hoop. Her own board right there. Second chance, no good. Falcon ball. No, it's Nebraska ball. Officials reversed course. It was out of bounds off of Wisconsin. Trouble in the corner, and Rebecca Higgins stepped out. Here comes Delani Fay, a sub for Higgins. Fay from Ord, Nebraska. Former all-conference volleyball player. Wisconsin breaks the press. It's Chambers dumping off for Haithman, a spin move into the paint. She comes up empty. Schutte gives it up. Osleeson, no dice. Offensive board though, Riley Pauly gives Nebraska a little second win. And then a taste of their own medicine handed out by the Falcons. Reagan Obrey, cross-court pass. Chambers fouled on the 3. And she'll have 3 chances from the free throw line, where 6 of the 8 Wisconsin points have been scored. So Clara Chambers at the line, 3 free throws for the Mineral Point, Wisconsin native. 12.5 points per game entering the tournament, with 5 straight games in double figures for a team that's won 7 in a row. The Falcons started out 3-6, and then they've gone on an absolute tear. 10-6 now with a 9-3 conference record. And in her 16th season, Stacey Brunner-Jones has one of her best teams. Across the double-digit mark, And now Chambers checks out. 2 minutes into the second quarter, pretty clean score, 20-10. Barry behind the back, gives it up to Osleeson. And Elsie kicks it back out to her point guard. Grace Barry had 20 points, 7 assists, 6 steals yesterday. And here she comes up empty after a nice spin move. Reagan Obrey, offensive foul.
Great job there by Higgins, beating it back to the block, hustling back and getting in front, and that's why you can get a charge there.
Timeout called, Drew Olson. It's 20-10, Nebraska on top in the CIT Women's Championship game. We'll be right back on the other side on the CUC Sports Network.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back, everyone, here in Geisman Gym. Got to get somewhere. Well, close or far, Chicago Motor Coach has your group transportation needs covered. Chicago Motor Coach is proud to be the official transportation provider of CUC Athletics. Sam Brief, Carter Geisman. Carter Gledhill here in Geisman Gym. Well, you're spending so much time here this weekend, you might as well be Carter Geisman, right?
It's been 7 games right now. It's been a long 7 days, I'll tell you that. Doesn't get old.
It's your alter ego. There's Carter Gledhill and Carter Geisman.
Maybe. That's a good one. I like that.
Geisman Gym playing host to the CIT this year. The 69th iteration of this great tournament. That's the second oldest basketball tournament in the world. Dating back to 1951. Started in St. Louis, making its way here to River Forest as it enters its 8th decade. And this ball will stay with Wisconsin. Betcher gets it into Hafman. Off to Kraft. Cross-court pass to Betcher. Down low, Hafman pounds it on the ground and rolls it on in.
Great move there by Hafman. You see she opened up to the paint to see where the defense was, and then she ripped through and got the defender on the backside.
Barry looking for the quick response, and now Lammers commits an offensive foul. Shaliga drew the charge. And suddenly, Carter Geisman / Gledhill, a little momentum for Wisconsin for the first time in this game. It's an 8-point game. Nebraska hasn't scored in 4 minutes.
And another thing, too, that they got to take advantage of, Philly Lammers has 3 fouls right now. So that's something, too, that's going to be very important. But it looks to the point right now where you mentioned the aggressiveness of the Bulldogs could come back to haunt them. They're going to be going to the Falcons could be going to the free throw line on the next foul.
Lammers last year was the CIT MVP. And now a free run for Hafman. It's a 2-possession ball game. This one's turned on a dime. Nebraska still on top, and they extend the lead. That's Cornell. Their first points in the last 4.5 minutes. And Foster misses the layup. It seems like Wisconsin's having a little easier time, Carter, with just getting the ball across the line. They've settled in nicely. They've committed 13 turnovers, but forced 12.
Still, exactly. They're still applying pressure. They're doing a lot better than we've seen in the early first quarter of responding to the pressure, but it's just now, the more of the turnovers we've seen now have been in the half court. They're getting them over half court now, so a good thing for them.
Barry kicks it out. Sabell misses the corner three. Offensive board for Cornell. That one goes out of bounds off a Falcon. I mean, in this tournament alone, Wisconsin's no stranger to winning games ugly. Yesterday, they took down Chicago. Got a win while they shot 22%. Wisconsin 3 for 15 from the field, but they've stayed in it. Here's Hafman. She'll go to the line. Carter mentioned the fouls, something to watch. Philly Lammers with 3 already. Nebraska, always aggressive on defense, committed 12 fouls, and their band seems to be in the giving spirit.
They're very enjoyable to watch. They've got something always for every free throw.
Singing happy birthday to Emily Hafman. Nine-point game as Barry whistles a pass outside. Sabell back out to Grace. High dribble at the free throw line. Nifty move behind the back, kicks it to Duval. Head down, spinning and scoring.
And that's just Duval just going in full head of steam. She pounded herself all the way in there, being strong, and then great reverse pivot there to lay it in.
That ball goes flying near the scorer's table. Nebraska ball. $11-point lead for the Bulldogs, who have been led by Duval so far. 9 points on 4 of 4 shooting. For Kobe Duval, the Max, Nebraska native out of Platteview High School. Team won 86 games in her 4 years there, so she's no stranger to success. And last year, she became a national champion here at CUNE. Spin move for Sabell. Can't convert. Cornell went over the back. And it's Wisconsin ball. The Nebraska fans aren't too happy.
I see why they're pleading their case there. You see Cornell just going up over the top, and it looked like just falling over was the Falcon defender, but still, it was kind of a weird 50-50 call for the official.
First free throw good for Shaliga. It looked to me like Cornell went over the top, over the back.
She did go over the top, but I think also, too, what Coach Olson's arguing is that Shaliga was falling to the ground, so that's why it should have just been just inadvertent contact. But, oh well.
The Bulldogs will try and make it a moot point. Here's Barry going right in. Jump ball, and that one's headed the other way. And the Bulldog faithful wanted a foul call. They didn't get it, and it's going the other way. Four and a half to go. Caitlin Foster, spin move, gets it across half court. In game 3 of the day, CIT Women's Championship game. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Cougar Sports Network. Always a pleasure to bring you these broadcasts, especially in a high-flying weekend like this one. There's a missed 3 from Aubrey. And now the Bulldogs the other way. Sabell in the corner. Barry. Duval, she's got 11. Duval hasn't missed Cameron Pratt got a little ahead of herself. And now we get a couple subs. Mackenzie Hellman checking in for Riley Sibel on the Bulldogs side. And Lindsay Glazer for the first time today. Number 21 in blue. She comes in for Wisconsin. Here's Barry, nice scoop. You put a little English on that one. And Nebraska's over the 30-point mark. Tree to go. And another turnover. The 16th that the Bulldogs have forced. And Duval still hasn't missed. Now she has, but Nebraska with another chance. Right back to Colby. Spin move. 0 for 2 on that possession. Hafman, long lob for Foster, who's rejected and fouled. 2 free throws incoming for Caitlin Foster. And the obligatory "you can't do that" chant. That one's getting old, Carter, that "you can't do that." I think
I've heard it.
Student sections across the country need to find a new one.
You haven't played in high school or college basketball unless you've heard that chant.
Yeah, I mean, that one's all over. It's old. I feel like it's lived its life. It's time to get a more creative chant when the opposing team commits a foul. When you agree, I think we should start a movement here. Brainstorm some options. Maybe by the end of the night, we'll come up with something. Riley Pauly, a nifty move down low, and the Omaha native. Grace Berry called for a foul. Drew Olson, the Nebraska head coach, is like, what?
What?
Two hot teams going at it. Something's got to give. Wisconsin, winners of 7 in a row. Nebraska, they've won 5 in a row. And this Nebraska team, of course, we've been raving about their dominance. The last time this program lost back-to-back games, and they're not in danger of doing that since they won yesterday, but still, the last time they lost 2 games in a row, you would have to go back to March of 2016, 4 years ago, the last time they lost 2 in a row.
That's impressive right there.
Teardrop, Barry, so smooth. The last losing season for Nebraska, you got to go all the way back to the 2010-11 season when they barely were under 500. 15-17 record. Other than that, Drew Olson's tenure has been pretty much nothing but winning. Osleeson dials up a 3, misses short. Board right back to her. Elsie with the lay-in.
Again, another second chance point because of an offensive rebound. You see Duval just knocking it back and then getting up in there.
And here's Duval with the steal. Lead pass, Barry. Easy bunny layup. .94 seconds till halftime and a couple subs. Kratt in for Wisconsin and Kepke for Nebraska. 30 minutes after this one's over, we'll get the men's championship game. Also Wisconsin against Nebraska. More Bulldog Falcon action. Shocker, a steal. Barry, teardrop. Boy, that one looked pretty.
That was very nice. You see again, just fast pace in transition, this time pulling up for a jump shot.
Another foul. That's the 16th foul of the half whistled against the Bulldogs. It's pretty much what you sign up for when you commit to that style. You're going to force a ton of turnovers, get a ton of steals, and commit a ton of fouls.
And that's exactly what you're going to do, and you're just going to rely on your offense to carry you the rest of the way in scoring a high amount of points.
Wisconsin has scored 22 points. 14 of them have come from the free throw line. They're just 4 for 17 from the field. That was the 21st free throw attempt of the night. Game is like a glorified free throw practice.
It's going to take whatever you want on the scoreboard, though.
Bunch of opportunities for Nebraska, and they still retain possession. Right in front of the Wisconsin band. Grace Berry inbounding. Gets it to Duval. Left-handed layup, good, and the foul.
What a great play that was, designed by Coach Olson. Just a little easy one. Berry looking for that. And Duval getting a nice little backside screen. All she had to do is just go from one side of the paint to the other to get the and one opportunity.
And not one.
I jinxed it.
We've seen that once or twice. That time Sibel with the lay-in. A 21-point lead. Nebraska looking to take a stranglehold going into the locker room. Long lob, Aubry fouled. More free throws. These will be the 22nd and 23rd free throw attempts of the half for Wisconsin. By comparison, Nebraska, they've attempted just 6. It's Reagan Aubry, misses the front end. Aubry, an honor roll student out of Neenah High School up in Neenah, Wisconsin. Converts the back end. 20-point game. 30 seconds to the locker room. It's Berry lobbing down low to Oz Leeson, and she's got an easy one, kissed off the glass. Shot clock off. Betcher down low for Aubry. Reagan makes it a 20-point game, and Nebraska will get the last shot. Here's Berry with 3, with 2. What a move,
Oh,
Grace
what a
Berry,
move.
all the way to the hoop, and she puts the cherry on top
Look at
of
this
a
thing.
dominant first half.
Look at
for
her
the
analyzing the
Bulldogs.
defense, reading behind the back cross. It looks like a 2K move right there she just pulled out.
Grace Berry, 10 points and 6 assists, a spectacular first half. 12 steals, just classic Concordia Nebraska basketball. They're halfway home to a championship, and we'll have the other half on the other side. And folks, if you're ever looking for a place to relax following a big Cougar win, just remember that Doc Ryan's on Madison Street has all of your post-game needs covered. We'll be back with the second half on the other side on the Cougar Sports Network.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
we get the women's championship game between Nebraska and Wisconsin. Sam Brief, Carter Gledhill with you alongside our fantastic crew all weekend long here at the CIT. And, well, Carter, you always come into games with expectations, right? You know the trends, you know the strengths, the weaknesses, the stars. It felt to me like the first half pretty much went according to script.
And it did. We already talked about how the Bulldogs were going to come out and push tempo and really force the Falcons into uncomfortable situations, and they did just that. Falcons committing 19 turnovers in the first half. But then at the same time, too, we also saw the Bulldogs in transition. That's where they were actually most effective for the good part of the first half until later on in the second quarter where they started to actually knock down shots and then even early on hit the three from the left corner.
What's the path for Wisconsin to win this game? If we flash forward an hour in the future and Wisconsin has stormed back and won the game, how will they have done it?
One is going to be the free throw line because they're going to have to continue to attack and get the Bulldogs into foul troubles because two of their key players right now, Duval and Lammers, both have 3 fouls, and that's not even to mention Cornell and Hellman also have 3 fouls. So it doesn't seem like it right now because the Bulldogs have been shifting so many people out with line changes, but that could be something that's going to come late in the game that could be very important for the Falcons if they want to pull it out.
Yeah, in the first half, Wisconsin 16 of 23 from the free throw line. The program record is 49 attempted free throws. They're on pace for 46, so we'll keep a little eye on that in terms of the Falcons' free throw conversions.
And even last night, too, we just seen how many times the Falcons have benefited from the free throw line. Last night in the game that we thought the free throw really kept them in the game and pushed them over the edge of Concordia Chicago, they had 34 free throw attempts in that game, and that was a new season high.
Carter, I just heard your voice start to croak.
Dude, man, it's a long day.
Have we reached that point of the weekend? Are you going to be croaky toad for the rest of the night?
Throat coat. Throat coat.
Here's a 3 for Riley Sabell, getting the party started in the second half. And the party continues. About as perfect of a first 30 seconds as you're going to get to start a half. Shaliga to the top of the key where Foster will go to work. Wisconsin now comfortably in the half-court set. Remember, that's more than half the battle against Nebraska. Just getting it across half-court. And how about this? Chambers. Down low, it's Philly Lammers. She'll have some chances.
So interesting about that is that the Falcons were in a 2-3 zone, and you use the 2-3 zone to really stop the paint penetration. But then Philly Lammers just sat in the middle of the paint right there and got an attempted layup. So still, the Bulldogs are finding a way to break the Falcons' pressure.
Last year in the CIT title game, 82-56 win for Nebraska over Ann Arbor. Philly Lammers dropped 23 points, snagged 14 rebounds, and was named MVP as Nebraska won the CIT for the 6th consecutive time. Now looking to make it 7 and 30 in their program's history. But Shaliga with a nice lay-in. Here's Barry. What about the move Barry put on the Falcons at the end of the first half?
That was something right out of the 2K video game right there. That was so impressive, and it's something exciting to watch. She's such a versatile player, too. We've seen already in this game.
So you're drawing reference to the 2K video game. Is that something you're any good at?
No, not. I dropped the video game thing about junior year of high school, and I really haven't gotten back on it.
All right, you'd still probably beat me by about 45, 50 points maybe. At least I'm humble. Hafman misses a 3. Here come the Bulldogs. Curious, Carter, just schematically, what would you think if, and I'm sure different teams have tried this against Nebraska, if you're a coach against them and you say, okay, they're going to give us this crazy full court pressure, force 75 turnovers in a game, whatever. we'll just do the same darn thing. Is it that easy? Am I oversimplifying it?
It's not that easy, because you've seen the whole scheme that Coach Olson has built around his team. It starts from the players themselves, the recruiting process. You mentioned the two sport athletes that he recruits from track out of high school. And even if so, if you try to match the gameplay of the Bulldogs in a whole game, you're going to get burned out. And we saw yesterday the Cardinals by halftime.
Long three. Koepke misses. You'll often hear a fast basketball game referred to as a track meet. But if you put this Bulldog team against pretty much any team in the country in a literal track meet, an actual track and field event, they probably win, because more than half their team was on their high school's track and field team. And of those, a great majority of them were state qualifiers or hold some sort of school or state record. I mean, these Bulldogs can run.
And it's all because of Coach Olson's idea and really building it around his offense of that. So he's got to make sure he's get the right recruits and players to support that game scheme.
You can't have a bunch of plotters playing this style.
Not at all.
A bunch of big players who can just bully you in the paint. That's not going to work.
But even if that too, you've seen that they've gone five changes at once in a full lineout substitution. So it's not just you can stick like 5 or you have 6 players that can go like this. Everybody on this Bulldogs team can run up and down the court at any given time.
Colby Duval, good.
How about the game she's having right now? She's got 18 points.
Pretty good. Duval out of Max, Nebraska. 8 for 11 from the field. Now 2 for 3 from the free throw line. Nebraska shooting about 50% from the field, 80% from the free throw line. That'll get it done, especially when you force 22 turnovers. And an air ball here for Haithman, who claps her hands in frustration. So still nearly a 20-point lead for the heavily favored Bulldogs. Koepke, strong. Here come the Falcons the other way. It's Shaliga leading the charge, and she is caught in a pickle. Falcon ball. Line change. Isn't that incredible how you can put 5 completely new players on the court and just keep doing the same darn thing with the same darn effectiveness? The whistle blows, and some conversations among the officials. Might be an issue on the sideline. Not sure, no foul call. Just sorting something out along the perimeter. Right back to it. There's a steal for the Bulldogs. Faye, too short. Oh, and here's a line change for the Falcons coming up. Ready? Go. 5 new Falcons. At times I've thought this was a basketball game, at times track meet, and now hockey?
We've seen everything in CIT, haven't we?
And of course the day started out with the cheer competition between the 4 schools, and that's always a fun part of CIT, right? It's not just the basketball teams. Every team, every university travels with their full cheer squad, the full band. During halftime, we saw these 2 bands going at it with a little friendly competition. They were both playing that song, Hey Baby.
I thought the coolest moment, though, of the whole tournament was right when they came back. They both played Sweet Caroline, and I love that moment.
It's like who can play it louder and better.
Exactly.
Corner three, Faye got it.
First one of the day for Faye, as she's now 1 for 3 from behind the arc.
And now on the other end, more free throws coming up to try and break up a 7-0 run for CUNE. And as one of her guards goes to the line for free throws, let's tell you a little bit about Stacy Brunner-Jones. It's her 16th season at the helm of Concordia, Wisconsin. Like Olsen at Nebraska, she's the winningest head coach in program history. 4 times was named NAC Coach of the Year. And Stacy Brunner-Jones coming out of her alma mater, Winona State. Breaking the press, it's Aubry, and pass goes over the head of Smitsdorf, so this will head back. Actually, they'll stay with the Falcons.
Another kind of interesting thing, if we're talking about how CIT brings family together, how about some immediate family in the Bulldogs in the Concordia University, Nebraska? Assistant coach Taylor Purdy Coral, if that last name sounds familiar, Lance Coral, the assistant coach for CUNE's men's team, is the assistant coach there in Lance Coral. They also both played basketball at Regents University, so a lot of family ties in the CIT community.
Maybe they'll both be champions by the end of the night.
How sweet would that be?
How sweet would this be? 3 for Hellman. And we're talking about multi-sport athletes. Well, Hellman, not a track star, a softball star in high school. She was an all-state softball player, owns her high school record for doubles in a career. 2-bagger machine, as Cornell puts it through. The former long jump champion with a long shot this time. So Carter, I almost now, I'm not much of an athlete. You don't even know me that well, but I think you know on the surface I'm not an athlete, but looking at some of the numbers as Brunner-Jones calls a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here. So with some of these 2-sport athletes, for example, Mackenzie Kepke, she's got her high school record for the high jump. 5 feet 5 inches she jumped. That's her high school record. So I'm sitting there, I typed this note up, and I'm thinking, how high could I jump? And I almost went and found a way to measure and just see, but I didn't want to embarrass myself because I think it'd be probably half that. I don't even have I've never even tried, so I don't even have a concept.
I mean, we do testing for baseball, and
what do you think? What's yours? What's your
jump? Vertical? I think I'm about like 32, 34. I don't remember exactly, but
32. Okay, so if she's 5 feet 5 inches, that's 65.
Yeah. So
no way. Wait, but that's not a vertical. That's a. That's the high jump. That's the we got to figure out exactly
the high jumps. That's where they're coming off.
She doesn't have a 65-inch vertical.
High jump's the one where you're coming on the angle and you've got the bar just laying up, so you have a little running head start.
Right. Okay. So that's your vertical.
But again, speed factors into that.
Oh, I know
too.
my vertical. It's like 16. I mean, come on. We don't have to get into that though. Here's Elsie Osleson checking in for Riley Pauley. Put some good work in on the glass with 6 rebounds. Colby Duvel, the leading scorer, 19 points. She might be on track for an MVP award.
I think she's just on her way to do that. Looking at the record books, something to keep in mind with Philly Lammers, who obviously is not on the court right now, but something that's interesting, there's been 7 repeats or back-to-back MVPs in the CIT tournament. 6 of those have come from Nebraska in the women's side.
Wow. Well, here's the interesting thing is, let's say, you know, Duval keeps it going, as that three is a clean swish from Shuti. If Duval keeps it going and ends this game as the leading scorer, she only had 5 points and 2 assists last night. So would the single game performance be enough to make her the MVP, or would you go for someone who was a little more balanced across the 2 games, like maybe a Grace Berry, who had 20 points last night and is right back with it with 10 points, 8 assists, and counting?
8 assists, I mean, that's kind of blown past us too, but those 8 assists, I mean, some of them have been pretty cool assists. Like, she's got the no-look passes we've seen. She's skipping it across the court. So you do bring up a good point, and Grace Berry might be another candidate to be MVP.
What a cut. Jump ball. It's going to stay here. "11 different Bulldogs have scored. 2 of them in double figures, and a nearly 40-point lead. Absolute domination. In the corner, a little tie-up, and for the 18th time tonight, the Bulldogs come up with a steal. Osleeson dumps it down low, and it's picked off by the Falcons. Here's Buchholz passing it to Kratt. No dice on the lay-in, and it's Bulldog ball. Line change coming up in a couple. Pounding it inside. Nearly an and one chance for Shuti. Shuti, one of just 2 players in the rotation who aren't from Nebraska. She's from Kansas, and then also Osleeson from South Dakota. So not too far from Nebraska, but not quite there. As the Bulldogs are on a 16-2, make it 17-2 run over the last 5 minutes, and they've taken a total stranglehold over this bad boy.
And it's so weird because this whole time they've been so dominant too, but at the beginning of the first half, they only made 2 threes. In this quarter alone, they're 5 for 10 from behind the arc. So that's still pretty impressive to see how fast they're able to revamp their offense on whatever they want to do.
Just over 2 to go in the third. It's a 39-point Nebraska lead. Down low, a rejection. Down low, another rejection. And it's Bulldog ball. Buchholz was no match. And now a clean, easy tray for Chloe Schumacher. Her first points of the night. And the Lincoln native makes it 42.
Make it 6 threes now in the quarter.
A 21-4 run over the last 7 minutes. It was 48-26 at half. And the third quarter in the CIT has been pretty fruitful for Drew Olson's team. Yesterday, it was a pretty competitive first half against Ann Arbor, and then his team outscored the Cardinals 28-7 in the third. Tonight, they've kept that domination going. 28-9 so far in the third quarter.
The other thing is, too, the assist number is very high, too. Bulldogs right now, it's a broken record when we're talking about the 3. But the Bulldogs have had 17 assists tonight. They had 18 last night in their victory against the Cardinals. So still, every part of this Bulldog game is so strong. It's really hard to find a weak spot.
Here's a bouncer, top of the key, 3 is off. That was Brianna Freund missing. Another 3, no. Cougar fans, as always, Cougar basketball is brought to you in part by Lutheran Public Radio. Listen to sacred music anytime, anywhere at LutheranPublicRadio.org or on the LPR app. 50 seconds to go in our third game of the night, which serves up as our first of two championships between Wisconsin and Nebraska. This one firmly in Nebraska control. A 44-point lead here in the third. As Leeson comes up with a block. On the other end, slicing, dicing, and scoring, it's Avery Lambrecht waving hello to the ball game. And they've passed the 80-point mark. Shot clock off, and Wisconsin probably wants this third quarter to end ASAP. Nebraska's got other ideas. 5 seconds to go, a free run. No dice that time for Schumacher, and that'll do it. An absolutely dominant third quarter. A nearly 50-point lead entering the fourth for CUNE, sniffing their 30th CIT championship, and we'll have the final 10 for you. On the other side, this is Cougar Basketball, or this is the Cougar Sports Network bringing you the CIT. We'll be back in a couple minutes with the fourth.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Save the trees.
Back at it for the fourth quarter, and the third quarter was firmly Nebraska's. 33-9, the Bulldogs outscored the Falcons. As we line it up for the fourth, Sam Brief and Carter Geisman with you. And Carter, domination in CIT games over their last dozen or so, no stranger to these Bulldogs.
No, these Bulldogs' average margin of victory has been 30 points, and I think that number is going to go a little higher tonight with their win tonight. Hopefully, once the Crike strikes 0-0.
Wisconsin shooting 0 for 11 from downtown, just 28% from the field. They've committed 26 turnovers against this torrential defense that the Bulldogs provide. And then the Bulldogs offense has turned it around. But here's Wisconsin with a nice little bucket. Osleson, stripped. Coming the other way is Taylor Guns, Wrightstown High School alum. And the three knocked in, so some life here. For the Falcons, Osleson gets her own board. Right back with it. Schumacher hammers it home. Chloe Schumacher, she's provided a nice spark. On the other end, Reagan Obrey. Giving it to Freund, right back Obrey. Cross-court pass, whistle to Betcher. Down low, Guns is fouled. It'll stay here with the Falcons. So Taylor Guns in the game. First time we've seen her tonight. 5'10" sophomore from Greenleaf, Wisconsin. That's right near Green Bay, so I'd imagine she's a Green Bay Packer fan, which means she might not be too happy given the result of last week's NFC Championship game.
Yeah. I'm a Bears fan, so it's all right.
You're in good company, my friend.
It was not our year for sure this year.
No, no, sir. We'll save that for another day. Here's Schutte. Schumacher driving, lay in off the glass, and she was fouled. Chloe Schumacher's kind of put her stamp on the back half of this game. Knocking in 2 threes. All in all, it's a 41-point lead for CUNE. They've been led by Colby Duvel with 19 points on 8 of 11 shooting. She's got to be an MVP consideration. Same with Grace Berry, who had 20 points yesterday, 10 points, 8 assists tonight for Grace. And Carter, I'd imagine we don't even see any of the starters for the rest of the game, probably for either team.
No, and I was just looking at the stat sheet too. All but one Bulldog has scored tonight on the active roster, and the one Bulldog that needs to score tonight is Rebecca Higgins, number 13.
Higgins out of Thedford, Nebraska. Let's see if she can get in. So 28 of the last 33 CIT championships have gone to Nebraska. Put that in perspective. That's 33 years. That's 3 decades. And all but 5 have been won by the same darn program. Schumacher's perfect from beyond the arc. The lead, 44. I mean, Carter, if there's a rivalry between two teams and one team wins 28 of 33 meetings, that's complete and utter domination.
It's Bulldogs versus the world right now.
It's
the
a
CIT world.
A tournament with 4 teams to do that is just another level. Here's 3 subs, including Rebecca Higgins coming in, who's the only Bulldog to get time tonight who hasn't scored. Maybe she can get some CIT love in. So for Drew Olson, assuming they hold on, this will be his 11th CIT championship. Already the winningest coach in program history. Came to CUNE 14 years ago after tenure at Bellevue College in Nebraska as an assistant coach. And now Pauly comes out, and here comes Chloe Schumacher back in the game, who's been stroking it from beyond that 3-point arc. So, folks, 30 minutes after this one's over, we'll have the men's championship game between Concordia, Nebraska, and Concordia, Wisconsin. Same 2 teams, just different gender. Line it up for the championship game. Carter, quick preview for the folks out there. Yesterday on the men's side, Nebraska dominated Ann Arbor, 22-point win, and Wisconsin dominated Chicago, winning by 32. So what can the folks at home look for in the nightcap?
Well, again, you're going to see reigning 2019 CIT MVP Jordan Johnson leading the helm for the Falcons of Wisconsin, so that's going to be exciting. That's a high-powered team that just is always shooting and is looking for good shots. And then Tanner Shuck recently just joined the 1,000-point club in early January, so he's going to be leading the offense for the Bulldogs.
Should be a fun nightcap. It'll either be a Bulldog sweep or an even split with Wisconsin taking one. Last year, Wisconsin won the men's tournament. They've never won on the women's side. Nebraska sniffing their 30th win on the women's side. Just over 5 minutes to go. It's a 42-point lead and about to be more. Lambrecht kisses it off the glass. 44-point Nebraska lead. Bulldogs hunting for triple digits. Bulldogs coming from the NAIA, which is just another division. There's the NCAA D3, which is what Concordia, Chicago, and Wisconsin are a part of, and then NAIA, which is what Ann Arbor and Nebraska are a part of. And within the NAIA, Nebraska is in the top 3 in 7 different categories. They lead the entire country in steals a game with 22, turnover margin at plus 16, and they're in the top 3 in scoring margin, points per game, assists per game, threes a game. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the juggernaut that the Bulldogs have become, and they were national champs last year.
That was a fantastic season, too. I mean, it's hard to be national champs at any level if considering the competition, and going 35-3 is no shy of a just remarkable season they had.
Think this could be a national championship squad again?
Well, it's a lot of seniors and a lot of juniors, too. They're very versatile, but like we said.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, the fans
free
screaming.
Throw distraction, that was good.
You
were saying?
I was saying, like, this team is so versatile. Everybody on the team can do something so well. And Philly Lammers is leading the helm right there. And you got Kobe Duval, who really showed up today. But it just seems like everybody on this Nebraska team can always pitch in and affect the game in some way. That fan, though, over there for Wisconsin, he's having a fun night right now, just yelling at the top of his lungs.
It'll continue because the Falcons men's team going for a championship tonight. That guy's really feeling it. So Nebraska entering this week ranked number 3 in NAIA Division II. Defending national champions with this win will advance to 20-2 on the season. That one up and under and in for Lindsey Glazer. Leeson's no good. Schumacher is good. Chloe Schumacher hasn't missed a 3.
She just jumped up to be the second leading scorer for the Bulldogs in that.
She's dominated the back half of this game, and now she comes up with the rebound. By the end of this, it could be a 50-point win. Higgins dumps it to Schumacher. Way off on that one.
Heat check right there.
And she's smiling. Her night will not be perfect, but she's got 13 points on 4 of 5 shooting from behind the arc. Just over 3 to go, and I think the Falcons likely ready for this one to end. Buchholz with the ball, top of the key. Head down, outside to Betcher. In the corner, slicing and dicing, it's Aubry, no good. And here's Higgins, long pass, up and under. How about Lambrecht?
Everything's been going their way tonight for the Bulldogs.
I think the only hurdle they still have to reach is that 100-point mark.
And getting Rebecca Higgins a point.
Schumacher thought about it. Leeson got it. The lead, 50. At halftime, it was 48-26. Second half, it's just been all Bulldogs after they outscored them by nearly 30 in the third quarter. 2 minutes to go. And we'll go back the other way.
That fan is having the time of his life over there.
I think we need a camera just on him.
Yeah, can we get a camera on?
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, that guy right there. He's been having a wild night.
I think he deserves just his own dedicated camera. I don't know if we have enough.
I hope he sticks around for next game.
Well, he better.
He better. True fan would only do that.
I hope he hasn't used up all his energy. I'll go get him a cup of coffee after this one. What's the outfit he's wearing? Is he wearing a skirt?
I don't know. I think that's an oversized.
I think it's a dress.
I think it's a dress.
He's got some beads on. Schumacher for 100. Not that time.
He is dying. He's dying over there.
Oh, you're loving him.
I love him.
We should bring him into the booth.
That would be something special right there.
He is glorious and beautiful even in defeat.
He's animated too. He's so into it.
What should we call him? He needs a name.
The
We
Falcon
can't just
Fanatic.
keep calling him he. No, I think he needs like a name. Like a.
I don't know.
100. Yep. And the Bulldog crowd goes nuts. They've got triple digits. And the Falcon Fanatic has walked out. Faye makes it 102. And the party's starting for the Bulldogs, who are on the cusp of their 30th CIT championship. More than doubling up Wisconsin.
Talk about a large margin of victory. Last year in the CIT championship, when in the first round, my bad, they played Wisconsin. They won 102-74.
And the Bulldogs will dribble this one out. About as dominant of a performance as you're going to get. For the 30th time in their program's history, the Bulldogs are champions of the CIT. Make it 7 in a row. The Bulldogs win it.
What an outstanding performance, though, by the Bulldogs. Give credit to the Falcons. Obviously, it's a very tough matchup against the Bulldogs, but they stood their ground and they competed for the whole game.
Now 29 of the last 34 CITs have ended with the Concordia, Nebraska Bulldogs celebrating a CIT championship. And in a moment, we'll welcome in their lead man, Drew Olson, who is now celebrating his 11th title. Coach Olson, welcome into the broadcast booth. Congrats on the championship.
Thank you.
All right, that's 30 for your program, 30 CIT championships. What does it mean?
Just pretty cool for our program to have that, but just really happy for our kids and especially the senior group to win 4 straight CITs is pretty cool.
And 7 in a row, not bad too.
Right, yeah.
So how did you assert it tonight? I mean, Philly Lammers, Grace Berry, it seemed like there was really just a lot of pressure right away.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We like to pressure our opponents, and I thought Wisconsin did a good job handling it early on. Just over time, it finally got to them.
And late in the game, you had some bloomers, like Chloe Schumacher at one point was 4 for 4 from behind the arc. What did it mean to get some run?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for them for in the future, to give them that kind of experience for CIT, because we're going to count on them for next year for sure.
So you celebrated a lot of different championships. Last year, a national championship. But what does winning a CIT mean just for a program, for a community?
Well, that's our first goal every year, to win a CIT championship. We take a lot of pride in being the best Concordia, and just really proud of our kids for doing it again.
Coach Olson, thank you. Congratulations on the championship.
Thank you.
And folks at home, we'll be back with the men's championship game in 30 minutes right here from Geisman Gym. Stay tuned.